Questions. We have tons of them. What if some of those questions can be answered with a simple email? Now is that time, and welcome to Chat with Charlie. Host Stephanie Lynn is a certified spiritual life coach and psychic medium. She will work together with Spirit to answer both your submitted and live questions. Not only will Stephanie be providing you with insight, but also interviews with amazing guests. Now, your host of Chat with Charlie, Stephanie Lynn.
Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to see you here. The highlight of my day. I appreciate you guys tuning in regularly. And I have to tell you, before we get to our guest, you can see it's a flannel day here in northern Wisconsin. It was 72 here 2 days ago. This morning I went outside, let my dogs out, and it's snowing. It's snowing, people. It's not okay. It's way too early for it to be snowing. So now that I vented, I feel a little bit better. Thank you for listening. Good morning, Jackie. Thank you for tuning in. So today's guest is a colleague of mine. She's a friend of mine. Anne is also a certified psychic medium. And you guys have seen her. She's been on the live panel. And today she's coming in. Good morning, Erica. Yeah, see? 3 days. That's what you get for living in upstate New York. I'm sharing the snow with you. And she's just phenomenal. So please help me welcome Anne to the show. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, pretty good. And you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that you could be here. I was trying to think this morning back to like when we actually, because we've gone through so many classes together. And I think it was, I want to say it was in advanced when we started doing that Thursday night circle and practicing.
Mm-hmm. We did some before. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and I'm like, man, I feel like I've known you forever. And I was actually trying to figure out how long it's been. And I have no clue, but I do know I'm so grateful because so many of us in that group, you guys have all kind of become family to me. And so I appreciate that so much. Having the opportunity to get to know you guys and learn with you. Before we get started, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Well, I also live in Wisconsin, and it's not snowing in southeast Wisconsin. Okay, let's see. What do you want to know? I was born in New York, raised in New Jersey, and somehow wound up in the Midwest.
Right.
I've known. You want me to talk about my gifts, or?
Yeah. When did you kind of come into them?
I kind of knew when I was 12. But because of my religious upbringing, it was kind of squelched because we're not supposed to believe in this and blah, 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 blah. So I just pushed it to the side. But I always knew stuff. I wasn't sure where it was coming from, but I always knew stuff. So it wasn't until I went to go have a reading, I think that was now either 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
With Diet, who turned out to be our teacher.
Yes.
And she said, one of the first things she said to me, you have the gift and you won't admit it. And I had an experience at Christmas time in my garage, of all places,
right,
where I heard music and it was my father saying Merry Christmas to me.
Yes.
So that was like, okay, now I'm really being pushed.
Right.
Because now I'm having experiences and my husband said I was crazy. And then that was December. I think the reading was in August. And it was like, okay, well, I kind of knew.
Right. A little bit of validation.
I didn't want to admit it.
Right.
So then I started taking classes. I kind of, I'm not thankful for the pandemic by any means, but it gave me the opportunity to be home and be able to take classes so that I was able to be certified. And now I'm still learning. You never stop learning.
No, you don't. Absolutely. I think, and that's important when, you finally say, okay, Spirit, I'm here. Because I feel like the minute you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I know this. I don't need to learn with other people or work with other people. You should stop. You know, it's we're never going to be able to know it all. And I feel, you know, like working with other people, like working with you, working with Ellie and Dorothy and other people I've met along the way, brings in so many different helpful perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like that's important, and that continuing to learn. And you do have mystically divine card readings. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that and your services?
That's a Facebook group page. It's a group, not a page. I do
Okay.
have another page called Mystically Divine Readings, and sometimes I forget to go in there and update it. But those are my two Facebook pages along with my personal page. And if you ever want to reach me, you can always reach me through the personal page.
Okay.
Just send a Facebook message and I'll see it. And as long as it isn't one of those spammy things, hello,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
and
right.
I will answer you. Just make sure you tell me who you are and why you're, you know, messaging me.
Yeah. And I do want to throw out there, totally not related to the paranormal topic we're going to move into, but you're also a Libri consultant, which is
Correct.
why our skin looks so fantastic, people. So reach out to Anne for all your skincare needs. I have to throw that out there because
Yeah,
I
thank
love the
you.
Libri products.
That
Yes.
one I do have a website for. It's Libri without the apostrophe.com / and it's my full name, Anne Zechel. And you
Okay.
can go in there and browse. You're not obligated to buy anything when you go in. So
Yeah.
you can just
No,
go in
it's
there, look around,
host a show, get
post a
some free
show,
gifts. Yes.
sign up
So
if you need some side, you know, some extra money for the holidays.
right, that's my little plug. And while Anne and I we're gonna talk about some paranormal stuff, but we are gonna answer some psychic questions for our viewers. So if you have any questions and you want to start popping those into the feed so I can set them aside and we can go back to them, that would be fantastic. And any other questions you might have for Anne, just drop them in there and we will watch for those comments to come up. So one thing that you and I do share a love for is the paranormal, you know, the unexplained. How did you come to find interest in the paranormal?
Well, I always had sort of an interest in it. But what happened was when we were all certified last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I announced it. I mean, people knew that I did, you know, some readings and things, and I did some practice readings with people that I knew. And then I posted it all over Facebook that I was certified. And I had 3 people within a week ask me if I did ghost hunting. And I went,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And then about 2 weeks after that, there was a class offered by Lisa Williams. And I think it's Tawny Lewis
Okay.
on paranormal. And the first thing that Lisa said in, you know, she'll do a group thing where you just see if there's interest in it, was the first thing people are going to tell you when you do this work or ask you is, do you do ghost hunting? And I went, all right, this is the class for me.
Yeah.
So now I don't know everything.
Right.
I've done I've been involved in 4 investigations. I love doing it. And the more you do it, the more you learn, because you learn from the other people that you're working with.
Right.
But it's just fascinating to me. I just love doing it. So
Right. And for me, it's first of all, it's kind of figuring out because we can communicate, we're a conduit. So we know that there's things going on beyond the veil. But for me, the paranormal gives you that opportunity to come in kind of scientifically. And, if you're working with equipment, to back up the things that we're already picking up on and to understand a little bit more of what goes on with some of those energies or souls that don't cross over or like to come back and forth. So for me, it's that opportunity to kind of give somebody that proof and be like, look, it's not just in my head.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love how you say, because that's kind of my segue too. And I mean, us being friends, I felt so vulnerable in coming out, even after I got certified. To me, I needed that certification as validation of I'm not crazy. You don't have to put me on a psych hold. Somebody tested me. And so I use that. But, even the other day, because I have private pages and I keep that separate from my personal page, because that's family, that's friends, colleagues, but not work. And it's been kind of getting out there. And I knew the moment would come that people that knew me would, start seeing that. And it's been the same way though, when people bring it up to me, what usually comes up is, oh, I wish I'd have known that when we lived in this house. Or do you do house clearings? Do you look at
Mhm.
this stuff? And so it's like people may not believe, okay, you talk to dead people, but they will believe, oh, maybe you can help me with this. Have you found that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of my husband. He just needs proof because he's got on 2 investigations and or 3 of them. And he
Yes.
just keeps saying, well, I didn't see anything, so I still need proof.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't really believe that you're talking to dead people.
Right.
But they're like, well, I have a spirit in my house. Although they say ghost, I was corrected. I should always say spirit. But it's the ghost of my brother, or my brother-in-law. But this lady has never asked me for a reading, but she wants me to
Right.
go to her house to see if I can talk to her brother-in-law.
Yes.
She doesn't want the renters to know that there's a spirit.
Right. Right. I like that. I love that. And it's so, as you have worked in, and we've done some investigations together also, in learning and working through, what have you found? Because, and I know for me, like you said, each investigation might show you a different way to do something, or working with different groups might bring in different techniques. What have you found to be the most valuable tool while you're investigating?
Well, one of the things that I found that actually works really well for me is touch a wall in the room that you're in, and I seem to get a lot of messages that way, or I
Okay.
get information that, well, that one of those investigations we were on, there was one room where I touched a wall and I felt like I was being drugged. And then after everything was cleared out, and I did go back up there a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
and there's nothing in that room now. I felt nothing, but that room was just overwhelming.
Yes.
And then I have some of the things that were suggested were the REM pod, which I got to save up some money first, but I
I
do
know
want
I have an account that's saved for Ghost Stop. And if you guys, I want to give Ghost Stop
excellent.
a plug. Yes. If you're looking for quality things, go to Ghost Stop, check out their stuff, and hop onto the Wisconsin Caps page and go in it that way, because Barnaby and his team get, I don't know, ghost points or something, but it also helps them. So if you want to help yourself find quality products and help out other investigators, hop on Barnaby's page and find Ghost Stop. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I know I have a spirit box somewhere in this pile, but I'm not sure where I put it. But that works on AM radio waves,
Yes.
and you can ask questions. And I know when we used it on the one investigation, we didn't hear anything. We didn't think we heard anything until we replayed the video that we took.
Okay.
So you always need something to take video. You can even use your
Yes.
phone. I would not recommend using the apps that you can get on your phone, because
Correct.
they have predetermined things that they say. So you're not going to get accurate readings from an investigation using your phone, but it's a valuable tool. If you don't have any special cameras, you can use it to take video. You can take your pictures. So yeah, always have a phone. What else do I have? And I always get an EVP reader, but
Yeah.
if you're near anything electrical,
Yes.
electrical charges will set it off. Electricians actually use that if they're looking for wiring in a wall when they're doing
Right.
remodel. So if there's nothing around it, then yeah, you can use that. And the other advice that we got, I think both of us got, because I didn't know that the first time I went in investigation, always put your
Yes.
phone on airplane mode, because the signals coming in through your phone
Mhm.
can actually deter the spirits from coming through.
Right. And it can manipulate and malfunction your equipment also.
Correct. Which we did have happen, but I think our phones
Yes.
were all off. But
Yeah. And Ellie popped in and said, good morning. And as
hi,
I
Ellie.
saw Ellie, it made me think of her, and I were just talking a couple of days ago. And she had heard, so I did snag some from my boys to take on this investigation coming up at the end of the month. Fidget spinners. That there was a lady she had watched who uses the fidget spinners because they're so easy to move to have spirits manipulate. So I was like rummaging through my kids' drawers. I'm like throwing out socks and underwear. I'm like, I need fidget spinners.
I don't have one. I don't have kids, so I mean they're all grown. So
well, and keep an eye out for those. I'm excited to kind of drop those in my bag and take them along and see. But yeah, that was the kind of the concept, because it does not take a lot of energy to move them. So I know Ellie and I are both pretty excited to see how that technique works. She's laughing at me.
She's laughing at you? It's like,
yeah.
Well, I'll go find one. I'm sure I can find one in Walmart. One of the other things that I know an investigator in Pennsylvania that actually works for my cousin, and I talked to him back in the fall, and he told me one of the things that you absolutely need is a recorder.
Yes.
A small one that you can put your headphones in, because you're able to hear things on that. And also when you play things back, you're going to hear things that you didn't even know you heard. I wasn't sure how to use mine. I know how to use it now.
Yeah.
But we did an investigation and I couldn't hear it. I didn't have the right headphones, whatever. And when I finally was able to figure out how to play it back, there was a ticking clock in the background in one of the rooms I was in. So I asked Barnaby if there was any kind of a clock anywhere, and he said no, there was no clock.
That's awesome.
That the recorder actually picked up something that I didn't hear.
Right. Do you find because I struggle with, if I'm using, like the spirit box with headphones and trying to really concentrate, I find for me it's difficult because it's like I'm getting all the noise that's going on in my head and then that static. So for me, that doesn't work. Are you able to really focus that way?
Sometimes. Now, the first investigation that I did, I got a lot of information off of it.
Okay.
Because I was asking questions and I was getting answers. But sometimes you can't really understand. That's why recording is so important.
Right.
Because sometimes when you play it back, you can make it louder. The static is annoying. I will agree to that. But
yeah,
I definitely think it's a good tool. And it was one of the first tools that we were recommended getting.
Yes.
So I had to think, when I was first buying the tools, I had to make sure that they weren't outrageously expensive, which is why I still don't have a REM pod. And there's a dog that I want. Like, there's all these different things.
I know. I want the Oculus. Where
Oculus
it gives the yes or no and then the letters.
Oh yeah. I can't afford that right now.
I might sell a child. So if anyone's looking for a child so I can stock up on my ghost supplies, I can rent them out.
Or buy some of Carl's sports cards.
There you go. Right? Yeah.
Let's see what else.
What do you do?
Oh, I do have my spirit box here. I won't turn it on because I don't even know if it's charged. But if you're wondering what it looks like, it's actually pretty easy to use. So
yeah.
And I keep it in the box so that I don't wreck it. But this is a spirit box. It has an antenna. You can actually record on these too, but that I haven't figured out, so I'd rather use a recorder.
Right.
But it has an antenna for the radio waves. And if you get a SIM card, you can put it inside and you can record. But you hear all the static, and then you'll get your answers. You just keep asking questions. But if I turn it on, it's really noisy, so you don't want to hear that right now.
And and they are fun. I know on one of the first investigations I did with my team, we just went to a local graveyard. We actually live near a cemetery that is listed in like the top 10 for Wisconsin. And Todd says he has one just like that. He does a lot of investigating too, so that's awesome. And I was using, my spirit box and trying to kind of figure that out. And I'm standing there and I asked, is there anybody here that wants to talk to us? And I heard Bob. And I'm like, did you say your name was Bob? And it came through the spirit box again as Bob. And Sarah, who I was investigating with, her face is like, she's like jaw dropped, and she's facing me and she's pointing, and I'm like, what, And so I turn, and the gravestone that I was standing with, his first name was Robert. And so I was like, whoa, so it's so cool when you can tie things concretely together. So I just thought that's like one of my favorite stories. What do you find is important for protection when you're going in? What do you do? Because sometimes we don't meet spirits or entities that are happy that we're there.
Yeah, that's true. I usually carry crystals. I try to carry black tourmaline everywhere for protection. Any of the black stones will protect you from negative entities, and it's whichever black stone works for you. I know Ellie told me that black tourmaline doesn't work for her, but it works very well for me. And also, there's a set of crystals. Let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head, or I can look. I know I gave you the list the other day.
Yeah.
Quartz, amethyst, labradorite, and rose quartz. Keep them in your pocket, and that's also protection.
Right.
And then I have sage, or I use a sage spray before I go in and after I come out. But that's what I do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way that everyone has to do it. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah, you got to find that resonation. And what I tell people too, if let's say, Anne's like, yeah, carry these stones. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to carry these stones. They're going to protect me. If I don't have a belief in that system set up to protect me, it's not going to do you any good.
Correct.
You have to have that belief backing, especially when you're going in with those more negative energies, because they're going to know if you believe it or not. They're going to try to manipulate things. So, like Anne said, find what resonates with you and then make sure you have a belief in that system. So I think we do have a couple questions. We're going to take a quick station break. When we come back, we'll see what people have popped in for questions, and then we'll go back to talking about the paranormal. So we'll see everybody back here in just a minute.
Ellie Weisensel's Psychic Medium is a medical intuitive that specializes as a body code practitioner. As an energy healer, Ellie offers additional services that allow her modalities to be intertwined with energetic healing. Within your subconscious lies information that knows everything about you and why you deal with specific conditions. The subconscious can be considered the blueprint to your entire body. With Ellie working physically with your subconscious mind, we detect what negative emotions are trapped and where they are stored within the body that is causing you your emotional and physical pain. This work is designed to remove imbalances and correct them energetically, getting to the root cause of why you have your condition, to help balance your body so it may heal itself. Your body is infinitely wise and wants to be in balance. The body code is not only gentle for humans, but it is also a gentle process to help animals. For more information, contact Ellie Weisensel at the website below.
Good morning. It is 23 past the hour. You are back on WLTK-DB Let's Talk Paranormal Radio, watching Chat with Charlie. I am your host, Stephanie Lynn. And if you're just tuning in, I am being joined by certified psychic medium Anne Zechel. So we were talking a little bit about the paranormal, and everybody keep popping your questions in, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible for psychic things. So things that you're looking for guidance on, not necessarily direct messages from loved ones. So the first question is from Jackie, and she just says, I'd love any message from spirit or anything that may be reaching out or she needs to know.
Okay, I actually used cards. I know that you're not supposed to use cards for medium readings, but I have Talking to Heaven by James Van Prague.
Ooh.
And during the break, I went back to look at the questions, and it says, I have no more earthly worries. So if Jackie was worried about somebody that was like when they were on this side of the world,
right,
or the universe, that they were worried about things all the time. Maybe they were sick for a while, and I'm tongue-tied. Why am I tongue-tied? But I do have to ask a question, which normally you're not supposed to do. But I had a song going through my head, and it's a religious song, and it's not a hymn that I was used to singing. I don't know if Bringing in the Sheaves means anything. And I heard it over and over all morning, and it was just popped into my head because I'll hear things.
right.
So I don't know if that means anything to Jackie or to somebody else that might be in here. But look at all those pretty sunflowers.
Oh, yeah.
So the picture is beautiful on there. So there's no worries. There's no fear. It's just beautiful where they're at now.
Right.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. And I feel like, just to add to it too, from a psychic aspect, that things that you, Jackie, may have been worrying about, I feel like you're finally stepping into a place of resolution where you are ready to kind of move past those things and bring about resolution. So you're worrying less because you're planning for that resolution and moving through things. So we hope that helps. Okay. So the next question is a long one. It says, I have a guide who, when I got to talking to it, started as Jess, and eventually I got the name Jester. I assume he is my master guide as he has been around for a couple of years, but I am curious as to how many other guides I currently have and if their identities change as we grow, like the way I came about his name as I got to really talking to him all the time. Sorry for the long question.
I know I have many guides. I'm sure Stephanie does too. But you don't meet them all at once. I think I found my first one through meditation, because there's specific meditations that you can use to find your spirit guide. Actually, I found another one too, and I saw two of them this morning. The first two that came through in meditation reached out to me this morning to let me know they were with me.
That's
because
awesome.
I don't normally see. I'm more clairaudient than why are the words escaping me today? I'm not even nervous. But I don't see as well as some other people, because everybody has different gifts.
Absolutely.
So, yes, Jester sounds like it probably is. You can meditate on it, and there's a spot in the guided meditations that tell you that you're sitting with the guide, and you may see them. You may ask them questions, or sometimes you just fall asleep. But they'll show themselves to you. Basically, I found meditation to work the best for me.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add is I'm doing a mentorship program right now, actually with Maria Celeste, and we have just been talking about recently guides, and she is a member of the Spiritualist Church. And what they teach is that you have 5 guides within your inner band. So it doesn't mean you only have 5 guides. It's just like your immediate circle of guides. And they are your protector, your joy guide, the doctor of chemistry, which is who helps take care of your body, and your doctor of philosophy, who helps with spiritual ideology. These guides are assigned to you. They follow you from the time you transition into the time you transition out. And then you also have a master teacher, but you share your master teacher. So they could have a couple that they're kind of look over, and you go to those for like your heavy choices and your shared choices. But then like you also have an outer band. So, like Anne and I being psychic mediums, we'll have some guides that will come in specifically to help us with those things. We'll have guides that come and go from our outer band based on where we're going within our life. And I agree with Anne. I think you should sit down and meditate. With the name changing, I think that's normal, because to guides, it doesn't matter to them what they look like. It doesn't matter what their name is, but they know that's how we connect with them. And so Like my guide, his name's Ezekiel. I call him Easy. And so it could just be as your relationship developed, as you got closer, you were able to ascertain, a fuller name. But sit down and meditate and ask, are you my master guide? Maybe it's your joy guide, and see what kind of information they give you.
One more thing I want to add is sometimes you have temporary guides, some of your loved ones in spirit. I know that a friend of mine that had passed away, this was a couple of years, she was gone for several years. And all of a sudden I started getting messages from her. And then I learned that you can have a temporary guide that is there to help you at certain times. So it could be any of your own loved ones. So if you
Yes.
start hearing, like her name was Mary, and I kept hearing stuff from Mary and I kept hearing her voice. So yeah, don't disregard those either.
Right.
Okay, it looks like we have a stalker.
Oh, it's not popping up on mine. Maybe Todd has caught
It's
it.
a private. Oh,
Okay.
never mind.
All right. And so, Rose, do you want to tackle a mediumship message?
Whew. I could try.
All right.
I'm just going to look around I don't know why, but my tarot cards mean anything to you? I don't even read tarot that well. But the cards are sitting here and it's like my eyes went right there. Jason. I'm feeling like that there's something that you need to change in your life. Maybe you're dwelling on the fact that Jason is gone and he would like you to try to move on from his passing. And I'm also feeling it wasn't that long ago, so I don't know how much information I'm going to get. Do you understand that?
And I was getting to, as you were tuning in, and let it go. So I do feel like there is something that she's holding on to. And when you had lifted up the tarot cards, I felt like she has some of her own intuitiveness and some abilities that she needs to focus on and work on also. So I'll throw that in there, and we'll keep an eye in the comment. We hope that helps Sarah Rose. Okay. So Diana says, I would love some guidance on issues I've been having. I am stuck, and I believe it has to do with releasing fear and standing firm in my belief. Oh, we've all gone through that, haven't we?
Oh, yes. Sometimes a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll ask. Of course, the box is upside down. We'll ask John Holland's cards on those.
Okay.
These are oracle cards, not tarot cards. They don't matter if they're upside down when they come out, or you don't have to know all the different things about the cards. Ooh, this one came up really quick. Kinds of issues I've been having. Okay, the card that came up is trust. So you have to surrender and trust what you're feeling. Those gut instincts are there. I'm going to read what's on the card now because as soon as I saw the word trust, it was like, okay, the arms outstretched. Just trust what you're receiving. But the card says on it, whilst your logical mind is dictating a supposedly clear direction, your soul's inner guidance, of course I need my glasses changed, is urging you to follow an alternative path. The logical path may be one that you consider safe and more familiar, but you could be missing out on boundless opportunities and so much more. Are you thinking about changing jobs? Because that came to me while I was reading that.
And I think that's, and I laugh when that trust card comes up or that surrender card, because I know as a student, as somebody going through, these leveling up things, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, Anne, when you go to somebody and you're like, I feel stuck, I don't know what to do. And they say, trust. I really just want to give them the finger because I'm, and it's so simple, but there's so much encompassing in that aspect of just trusting.
And there's times where we all doubt I mean, we all have doubts.
Right.
And you might have times where you're not doing a whole lot of readings. And sometimes you're like, oh, can I really do this?
Right.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Got. So Erica says, I'd love any message now that I've started meditating and learning more.
Okay. My absolute favorite is Pure Rasa. You can find her on YouTube, or let me look at the app. Oh, I don't have it on this phone, I don't think. Insight Timer is an excellent app for meditation. There's over 10,000 different meditations on it, and it's free. You just download it from the Play Store or from the Apple Store, whichever type of
program.
Yeah. But I use that for my guided meditations. There's also instructions. So if you want to listen to a class, you can listen to a class. There is a way you can pay for it and do more with it, but I use the free option. And there's no commercials. On YouTube, sometimes you get commercials. And the worst thing is if you're in the middle of a meditation and you're at a spot where you're totally at peace and all of a sudden you hear a commercial. Right. So I prefer Insight Timer over YouTube, but both have excellent options there for you. And they have all different types of meditations. They have them for your spirit guides, for opening your chakras, opening your third eye, anxiety, for sleep. I mean, there's tons. Right. You just scroll through, you ask for what you want, and they'll help you. It's great.
And I think too, hello, Anita, good morning. What I'm hearing too for Erica is building her foundation. Because and what they're showing me is a foundation, and there's some blocks in there, but the foundation isn't whole. And that's Spirit's way of reminding us we can't just jump ahead. We have to do that work. We have to have that solid foundation. And so kind of like Anne's saying, go back to some of those basics, start looking at some of those things within meditation and where they're taking you. And I laugh because Diana says, eventually someday, but not immediately. Yes, Steph. I was not surprised that she got the trusting card. I know her very well. So I thought that was very appropriate. Before we jump into some more questions, I want to kind of go back and talk a little bit more about the paranormal and investigations, because I know for me, when I talk to people and they're like, oh, you do investigations. And I think what a lot of people think about investigations are what we see on TV. And I'm not knocking any of those shows, but, in the dark, scared, there's some shows, everything's a demon or everything's evil. That's not always what's going on, and a lot of the investigations, I know in some of them that you and I have done together, we don't even turn out the lights because we're not looking for that scare factor. We're looking for that connection. We're looking to understand and really connect and find out what's there. Do you have people ask you about that, about reality, I guess, versus what they're watching on some of the shows?
Not so much right now. But what's funny is when I first started doing all this, my husband started watching all those shows. And after taking enough classes,
yes,
and I started watching them with him, some of them I'll watch, some of them I'm going, oh, this is unbelievable. It's like,
yes.
Because you're not supposed to act scared, because spirits will definitely, if it's an evil one especially, they're going to go right into that. Don't antagonize them, all that kind, and they do all that stuff in some of those shows. So some of them I find a little bit irritating. Where was I going to go with this? I forgot.
That's okay.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
No. Well, and I know, because my oldest son is he keeps, when can I go on investigations with you? I'm like, you got to be a little older, but
older.
Yeah. But he, him and I'll sit down and watch some of these shows, and he'll get frustrated because some will, as somebody who has had an experience is telling the story, they'll add in figures or they'll add in, and he's like, why do they do that? And he gets frustrated too. And I find that it's, some of it's that entertainment. Some of it is a good thrill. I like horror movies. I get it. But when you're doing an investigation, exactly like you said, controlling your fear and because spirits know, entities know, and they will try to manipulate. They will try to use that against you. And I know for me, there was an investigation that we were on where I went into a room and I'm like, I have to sit in the closet. I don't know why, but I had to sit in the closet. And I started getting responses on some of the equipment that was in there. And the closet, it was kind of weird. So it was shallow this way, but very deep this way. And so I had my back to like a pile of blankets, but it was like a void in there. And the communication stopped with the spirit I was communicating with. And then I could feel coming up my back, like the goosebumps, and that like something was impressing. And I had to go to a place to actively say, no, we're not going to be responding with fear and controlling that. Because the minute you let, like that imagination take over, it doesn't take you to good places.
I did remember when I lost my train of thought, what I was going to say. The spirits, just because all these shows are done at night,
right?
That's for some of the entertainment factor, I would believe. But it doesn't mean that the spirits aren't there in the daytime.
Right.
Because we did an investigation together that was, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime, the spirits are still there.
Right. I agree. And I do think, and I know, there's those certain hours where things are a little more active. And I don't know if it's so much that it is more active or if the world is just calmer at those times. So you notice things more. And especially, this time of the year. I really don't sleep from like now through like the end of November. It doesn't happen. Whether it's, hearing people walk up and down my basement steps or people feeling like they need to come and talk to me at 2:00 in the morning. So there are definitely times where like the veil is thinner. So I feel like activity is easier to notice. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Have you found that? Is this a difficult time for you?
Mine is usually more in the winter. I don't sleep well in the winter. I'll do crazy things like get up at 5:00 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person.
Right.
I didn't used to be. But I'll find myself not sleeping probably from November till about January.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, the cycles and the different things that our different abilities pick up on. Good morning, Michelle, tuning in from the UK. That is awesome. We appreciate you tuning in. So let's hop back to some of our questions. Chaylee is joining us from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. And she just asked me, please have a message of guidance.
Guidance. Okay, I like to read with a lot of stuff around me, and what caught my eye was one day at a time. I feel like you're stressing yourself out on unnecessary things, so you just need to just relax. Of course, the word surrender comes in. You can't surrender to what you can't change, because if you can't change it, it's not worth worrying about.
Right. And I had pulled the card while Anne was connecting with you. And the card that I pulled, it's the Bluebird Spirit, and it's happiness. It's kind of hard to see on here. But under my thumb, so you see, we got the bird sitting on the branch, and then over here's the unicorn. And what it made me feel like is sometimes you get so involved in life and the things that are going on that you miss those little signs. You miss the little moments in life where that happiness is. And so I feel like Anne said, surrendering, being more present in the moment and realizing the little things around you are going to make a huge difference. Because I feel like, spirit sends you in signs, but it's those times where it's like, well, I don't know if that's really from spirit, or you overlook it because you're so involved in something else. So just be open to those messages, be open to those things coming through. Okay. And I laugh because, so Diana had just commented and she says, I keep getting woken up. And I think, and the first thing I hear is, because I went through this too, and I know her and I have talked about this, allowing a specific time during the day for them to come and talk to you. Because otherwise, if you're not allowing spirit to connect with you, they're going to reach out when you're most vulnerable, when you're tired, when you can't say no and you're blocking them out. So for people that are experiencing that, give spirit time, whether it's in meditation, whether it's you're just going to sit down for 5 minutes and set a rock on your table and you're like, okay, come talk to me. Give them time, and you'll find that some of that getting woken up will lessen and help you.
Yeah, it's about making sure that you shut down, you close everything out, you set your boundaries.
Yes.
When I go to sleep at night, because I used to get woken up too with stuff, I ask that if there's any kind of a message that I need to know to allow me to dream about it, because the only time I remember my dreams are if it's a message or a visit.
Yes. And so, Anne, I would like to invite you to stick around after the break and help deliver some cards for weekly inspiration.
Oh, sure.
All right. So everybody, we are going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our conversation with Anne. She is going to deliver some inspiration for your week ahead. So start thinking about things that you need guidance on, and we'll see you back in just a minute.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is 47 past the hour, and you are listening to WLTK-DB, Let's Talk Radio. And this is the Chat with Charlie show. I am your host, Stephanie Lynn, and we've been talking to certified psychic medium Anne Zechel this morning about our novice paranormal investigations and kind of her story on how she got into this. And I just want to say, because we're here to give resources. And if you are experiencing something paranormal, if you're looking for answers, reach out to one of us, reach out to myself, reach out to Anne, Ellie, Barnaby. If we can't help you directly, we can absolutely help point you in the direction of somebody closer to you or somebody that can help you. I know growing up and feeling like I didn't have any options, and people that are experiencing, especially negative hauntings, it can be daunting. Just know that you have resources, and we really want to help. And so before we jump into our inspiration for the week, I want to remind you, you can check out the network's daily schedule on WLTK-DB.com show schedule. We are adding, not we, the station, are adding a ton of new shows, different topics. There's topics for everybody. If the psychic medium, if these shows metaphysical aren't your thing, there's true crime, there's so much to offer. There's cryptids. Just check it out, share with your friends, help us keep building the network, because we're all here for you. All of the hosts, we all come here to serve you and to offer information. So please check out the schedule, check out the new shows, set your alarms. If you don't catch us, you can find this show on Podbean, and the link is also shared in the comments. So, Anne, how many cards are you going to be pulling today?
Well, I pulled them during the break.
Okay.
And I kept hearing the number 5 yesterday. I kept hearing it this morning. So I said, okay, it's going to be 5.
That's funny. I heard 5 too.
Did you really?
I did.
All right. So the first card that came up is A Mother's Love. This is again from the John Holland Spirit Messages deck, which you can find on Hay House or I think Amazon too. Mm-hmm. But a mother is trying to reach out to someone here. It could even be me because probably my mother, because her anniversary was yesterday. But do you have a piece of jewelry that belonged to your mom that's important to you? Then wear it today. The card actually says on it, a mother's love is reaching out to you at this time and holding you close. She knows how much you miss her and wants to remind you that this special bond of love can never be broken, because the bond between mother and child is never broken.
Right.
Okay. So that was card number 1. Card number 2 is Soul Solitude. So somebody here is searching for answers. And you need to sit alone. You need to just sit and just be. Light a candle. I find coloring to be very therapeutic. So find what works for you. But it says your soul needs attention. There are moments when it's important to get away, not just from the noise of the outside world, but to find a place where your soul can experience peace and quiet, a place for soul solitude. This is a time to pause a time to reflect, a time for you. So you have to make time for yourself, because self-care is very important. Self-care could be anything. It could be taking a bath. It could be just going for a walk. Just anything that makes you feel good, but do it alone, because sometimes we're so busy taking care of everybody else that we forget to take care of ourselves. That was card number 2. Another soul card came out. Soul power. You have the power. You have the power. Look, I mean, the power, it's been there all along. You just have to wake everything up. Always remember, you're a soul that comes with a body, not a body that comes with a soul. Your soul is your true essence, and you have unlimited supply of soul power at your command whenever you need it. So always remember that you have the power, you have the gifts. It's just maybe you just need to find ways to explore them, explore classes that you might need to take. When the student is ready, the teacher will come. That's the best advice I was ever given. That was card number 3. Card number 4, you are not alone. So somebody here has a spirit that they're worried about. I know we had one earlier that was like that wanted to hear from Jason. Perhaps this card is for you. They're holding on to you. They're taking care of you in your times of need, in your times of despair, in your time of grief. And remember that there's no timestamp on grief. So please don't beat yourself up if you're still feeling grief. That would be in general, because it could come out of nowhere. You think you're okay, and all of a sudden you're in a corner sobbing. Just work through it, and don't worry that you're doing anything wrong or that you're crazy. Please. We are here for you. We never left. Through all the sadness and loneliness, however, you cannot sense us near you or feel how much love we are sending you. So they're there, but you're not seeing the signs. We are your family, friends, and guides. You never walk alone. We walk right beside you. So pay attention to those little things. Maybe finding loose change on the floor or in weird places, or hearing a song that you haven't heard in forever.
And I'm wondering, not to interrupt, if that card is somewhat for me, because, and we're talking about paranormal today, and I'm sitting here in my light, which has an actual switch, just completely shut off.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, is it not plugged in? Maybe the charge died. No, it's plugged in. So maybe I'm not alone either.
No, I don't think any of us are.
No.
Okay, stand your ground. That's the final card, number 5. Okay, he looks like he's outside grounding. Grounding could be standing in the grass. Okay, now you have snow on the ground up by you, so I don't think you should be outside standing in any grass.
Right.
It might be a little bit cold. Hug a tree. I mean, that sounds crazy, but yeah, hugging a tree. Anything to do with nature will help ground you. Taking a shower will wash away things that you're holding on to also. So if you're really stuck, take a shower and wash it all away.
Yeah.
But stand your ground. Also, that to me means, be a little bit aggressive, not aggressive, angrily aggressive, but stand in your power. I don't like that term. I'm trying to think of the way I want to say this. If somebody's going at you, stay true to your beliefs. Just
be your authentic self.
Right. Thank you. Because I couldn't think of the words. It's like they don't want to come out. But standing your ground is an empowering, confidence-building action to take from time to time. So sometimes we have to be, standing our ground. Could be anything. I'm not going to say what came in my head because it's not pleasant. Now is the moment when you need to stand your ground. You know you can do it, and you know that by doing so, you will be the victor.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But this sounds terrible. I'll say it this way because I don't want to go into the politics of it, but we have an election coming up. So don't let people sway you to vote for somebody that you don't want to vote for. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Absolutely. Yep. Educate yourself and stick with what you think. Okay. Wonderful. Those were, go back through them. Those were beautiful messages.
Mother's love was number 1. Number 2 was soul solitude. Number 3 was soul power. Number 4 is you're not alone. And number 5, stand your ground.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing the cards. And thank you so much for joining us. It was so much fun to have you on.
Yeah, it was fun.
I look forward to doing more investigations with you.
Me too. I'm sad that I can't make the one at the end.
I know. I wish you could make it too. Although I'm almost wondering if my light is not going out because of that investigation coming up. Especially since it was followed by Stand Your Ground, which makes me like, Ellie, are you still watching? Because I might have to call you as soon as I get off. She says, great show, ladies. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week to Chat with Charlie. Hopefully next week I won't have to argue with Spirit to keep my light on. And we will see you next week with Dorothy is coming on. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about spiritual ascension, what it means to level up, what it feels like to go through leveling up. And then the following week, the station owner, Todd Bates, will be on. We're going to be talking all things paranormal and his experiences as a paranormal investigator. So thank you all. I will talk to you soon. And everybody have a great week. And make sure you check out that station schedule and check out some of the other shows.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.